Okay, so where we left off, we're hoping our first client will have that connects with DHCP will have 192.168.0.50, and our ending IP address is going to be 192.168.0.254. The subnet type, the wired, least duration of 8 days is pretty standard. So, so when a client picks up an IP address, that IP address, they have a lease on it, and that will expire 8 days after they have it, and then they'll get another one. The subnet mask defaults to the Class C subnet mask, and we're going to activate this scope here. The default gateway, which is optional, we're going to put it when we add that router later, is going to be 192.168.0.1. So, okay, so our scope is good. Hit next. And we're just going to leave this setting. We don't use IP version 6. Parent domain, newmans.local. We're going to leave this how it is. Use current credentials, Newman's administrator. And a summary of everything, and we're going to install. So DHCP is installing now, the last role that we're going to install. And like I was saying, we're going to log on with a client computer now. Switch parameters are incorrect. Close that. So, it said that our scope was incorrect. So what we can do is go here to Start, Administrative Tools, and we'll go to DHCP. Since we installed that role, we have that option now. And here we go. Expand this. And make this bigger. So here's server 1 in IPv4 and IPv6. We'll expand IPv4 and expand the scope. The address pool here. The starting IP address is 192.168.0.50. The end IP address 192.168.0.254. No clients have any leases yet, because no clients have an address picked up from this pool, so there's no lease items to show. We don't have any reservations set up for printers or anything. The scope options, we want to make sure this is correct. The DNS domain name is newmans.local. Our DNS server is 192.168.0.2, which is our server address. And our router is 192.168.0.1, which is correct. So when we go to our roles here, it says that DHCP is installed. So let's go ahead and open up our client. And this is a client computer, a local user account running. It's not part of the domain yet. So we're running this regular client, and what we want to do is add it to the domain and hope that it gets that IP address that we set up earlier. What we want to do is go to Start, Computer, open that up. Start computer. the computer properties is actually where we wanted to go. And you can see our computer name is client1 as part of a work group. What we want to do is go to change settings here. To rename this computer or change its domain, hit change. We're going to keep it as client1 because that's a good descriptive name. But we're going to add it to a domain. And the domain that we have is newmans.local. Okay? So it needs my credentials, so I'm going to say that I am the administrator. Not a password on it. Okay. And you get a welcome message. Welcome to the newmans.local domain. Okay. So to apply these changes, we need to hit we need to restart. So hit close, and we will restart now. And so whenever we go back on, we should have the Newmans domain first, and then the backslash client1. That's showing us that client1 is now part of the domain. And then we're going to go on and look at the IP settings and make sure that all our DHCP settings that we set are coming through as expected on this client. So it's got to sit through this restart. And so we can log on now. And you can see that client 1 and its local user. So this is trying to log on as a local user on the computer. So what we need to do is switch, go to other user because we want to log on to the domain. So we're going to say Newmans, that's the domain, backslash client 1. Actually, I haven't created any users yet, so I can log on as the administrator. So once we set users up and add them to the domain, they'll be able to log on to these client machines with their own username that we create for them. But right now, since the only user I have is the administrator account, that's the one that we're going to use to log on here and make sure that our settings are correct. Just checking again our topology. This is PC1 that's logging on right now. And we can have multiple users using this PC. But we're hoping that when we log on, it'll be 192.168.0.50. Because when it sends the request to the server, we're hoping the server in that scope, the .50 to the .254, it'll send that first address, that .50, back over to this client. So it's logged on here, so we can just go to start. We'll just run cmd for the command line. We'll hit ipconfig. Actually, ipconfig will do all, so we can see all these settings. Here we go. So connection-specific DNS suffix are on Newman's.local. DHCP is enabled. And then we go here. Our IPv4 address for this client is 192.168.0.51. And our subnet mask is 255.255.255.0. And our lease obtained Friday, and will be up Saturday the 23rd because we got that 8-day lease. Our default gateway is 192.168.0.1, and our DHCP server is 192.168.0.2.